Okay, so it's been a few days since I've been able to work on the plane. Been doing a lot of studying, looking on the how to program the radio on my NX8. Still struggling a little bit with the sequencing thing. Don't think this radio actually is going to do what I need to do. I did find something in the RC groups I'll talk about a little bit more when I get to the section about how I program the radio, but using flight modes to do most of it. But that can get pretty complicated, and really gonna pay attention to what you're doing. So we'll see how it works out. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and I think this is part 7 maybe. Going to bypass the onboard gyro, and we're just got to make 3 connections that we got to take apart, and so we'll see how that looks. I'll show you that real quick, but also using the manual, and of course it's in there, but you read in here, you'll see what's going to the receiver, and there's 2 BECs, and you got to leave those connected. Don't disconnect those. But there's aileron, elevator, rudder. Those are what we're going to take apart and bypass and put in the receiver. Then we'll leave the flaps, gear, and the wing sweep into here, because this is already programmed such that, remember, if you have your flaps, if the wings are out and the flaps are deployed and you hit the wing sweep button, if the flaps don't go back in, it'll tear the flaps up and mess up your plane. So it's already on board programmed to raise your flaps back up when the wings are swept in, and when you sweep them back out, if the flaps are still in the deployed configuration, they'll deploy back down. So pretty good on their part to think that through. So go ahead and take advantage of all that. But the rest of it, I'm going to bypass and use, like I said, my Spectrum AS3X safe receiver for those. So anyway, we're going to start taking that apart. There are 4 screws in here. There's in close-up video I'll show, but anyway, there's the wires going out of the receiver, out of the onboard gyro into the receiver, and on the other side there's the ones that we're going to take loose. And there's actually those wires that are connected in there are the ones that there's some extra wires we'll have to pull out that you don't need. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start taking this apart. Let me back this out here. Probably won't be able to see the actual unscrewing here, but we'll go ahead and start taking these first 4 screws out. Oh, here's something interesting I already noticed. So this first screw is very loose. Okay, it will tighten back down, but it was not tight at all. So probably what I'm going to do is, when I reinstall these, I'm going to probably take just my hot glue gun and just put a touch of hot glue on all the 4 screws. That'll help them from backing out. And if I need to get back in there, I can easily, pop the hot glue loose and get access to the screw. So it's not anything permanent, but it'll help maybe the screw coming out in flight and this thing, maybe getting loose or something. But anyway, not tight at all. Don't know about the rest of them yet. So there's the first one. That one was a little tighter, but not much. Yeah, they're all really loose. Of course, it's easily to strip them if you try to over tighten them too. So, but yeah, definitely gonna put a little hot glue down just for a little added safety measure. Should never need it, but who knows. All right, so I can already tell the way this thing's set up, these wires are really kind of jammed up in there, because it's not going to want to come loose. So we'll easily pull it back up and just kind of get access to the it's going to be fun putting all that back in there. So I'm going to try to, got my camera on a kind of a makeshift stand here, but kind of get in there, and you can just kind of see all those wires. There we go, maybe you can see that. So quite the little mess there. So I want to take a look right here real quick and see what I'm working with, and then I'll come right back. Okay, did a little prep work here. Just getting ready, just kind of quick. So I've set up 2 Y connectors. I've the Y connectors are a little bit short, and then I got an extension because, like I said, I am going to put my receiver up front. I don't think it's going to change the CG enough to worry about, and I'll be able to compensate that, I think, with the battery. And if it doesn't work, I'll move it back and adjust from there. It'll be easy to remove the extensions. So what I did is, and I'm sure you can't see it on this video, but obviously I've made sure the polarity is right, so black's on the black. But I also put just a little bit of piece of tape over the connections. I'm using this kind of medical tape I use to do. It's great for fixing hinges. If you have a hinge goes out or something like that, that works great for that. Anyway, that just so it won't accidentally pull apart while you're assembling it, or maybe mess around with the plane and accidentally. And then you'll one long extension, and that'll be for the elevator. And then these 2 extensions, one's going to be for the ailerons, and the other one's going to be for the rudder and the steering, because the front steering is wide with the rudder, so when you move the rudder, that moves obviously. So anyway, got those ready. The one other thing I did, again, kind of recommendation from Jeremy on Bannon Hobby, is on one side of the board I've marked with a permanent marker and marked all the connectors that come on that side of the board. So if something, if I got to go back and try to put things back where they were, I've got a good idea, at least what side they go on, because you got to be taking some stuff off both sides. So anyway, we're going to, I'm going to do the ailerons first, I think. So let me find the connector that says aileron. So, all right, so on this side, here's one that says aileron. That happens to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th connection. Doing that so if I have to come back for whatever reason, I know where to put it. But also, it says on there I can see AL on the board as well, so it's on the board. So got it both marked in 2 places, but always better be safe than sorry. All right, so we'll pull the aileron off of there, and of course it's a wiry mess, so I'm gonna try to untangle that a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm going to get one of my connectors. Again, got to make sure your polarities are right. So the darker, if you remember before, the darker colors are going to go together. So I've got aileron there. Just double check. Yep. Make that connection. All right, then. Find the aileron on the other side. So I got the 2 ailerons. Again, the 2 darker colors together. And I will going to put a piece of tape over those as well. That's a pretty tight fit, but I'm going to do that anyway. All right, so got my other Y connector. So now I need the rudder and the one that says, I think it says steering maybe on it, or wheel says wheel. So need to find the rudder. So here's the rudder. It's the first one on the one that I marked. So untangle this a little bit. Electricians who love to have all their wires neatly tucked away will go crazy here, but Get that loose. All right, and then find the wheel. The wheel's actually on the inside, going inside, and you can see that from the diagram as well. But there's the wheel. Okay. So I got my rudder and wheel here. I got my aileron. Colors are matched up. Got my Y connectors now. The one other thing is we have to, the elevator, it's on a single one, so we'll just need a one long connection here. So let me find the, I'll look on my book and see where the elevator's at. There it is. It's on the end that's not marked, on the very end. So there's the elevator. See if I can untangle that mess a little bit. All right, and we'll get my extension here. Darker colors together. All right, and then the one other thing that I had already done, but I do plan on using a reverse thrust. We'll see if it does any good or not. But this single yellow wire had to pull it back, so I'm going to feed all those through. Now, one thing, if you notice now, that, you know, there's no markings, you know, so when I feed these wires through, I'm going to have to play around to try to figure out what's what, or I can just stick me a little piece of tape, which is I'm going to do, and just mark which one's which, and just save me some trouble. And for me, I know that my two Y connections are this different colors here than the versus the elevator is a different color, so I kind of already know what that one's going to be. So I'm going to mark these two, and I'm going to get them marked, and then I'll come back when I'm feeding them through, see how that goes. Okay, so just did a quick little piece of tape. Probably could have just marked one since I know the other one, but got a little A and R for aileron and rudder. Those, got my elevator here, and my reverse thrust. So I'm gonna feed those through. See if it's gonna go through without having to put a puller through here. First one. I'm just pretty sure I'm gonna have to put an extension on that reverse thrust. There's the second one. Tuck that under. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get the reverse thrust. It doesn't seem to be quite long enough even in this configuration, but there it is. Okay. Got that one through. And we'll do the last one here. We'll have to tuck all the wire back up under there. If I get my fingers on it. Get down here, take a look. Just fat fingers. I had a hard time there. Kind of just tucking these back under, kind of temporary. Get that back where it's going to go. Looks pretty good. All right, so we're not going to put the screws back on until we make sure everything's working. So, all right, now the plane doesn't set very good on this stand on the front side, so I'm gonna flip the plane over, put it on its wheels. Okay, so just did a quick little piece of tape. Probably could have just marked one since I know the other one, but got a little A and R for aileron and rudder. Those got my elevator here and my reverse thrust. So I'm gonna feed those through. See if it's gonna go through without having to put a puller through here. First one. I'm just pretty sure I'm gonna have to put an extension on that reverse thrust. There's the second one. Tuck that under. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get the reverse thrust. It doesn't seem to be quite long enough even in this configuration, but there it is. Okay. Got that one through. And we'll do the last one here. We'll have to tuck all the wire back up under there. If I get my fingers on it. in here, take a look. Just fat fingers. I had a hard time there. Just tucking these back under, kind of temporary. Get that back where it's going to go. Looks pretty good. All right, so we're not going to put the screws back on until we make sure everything's working. So, all right, now the plane doesn't set very good on this stand on the front side, so I'm going to flip the plane over, put it on its wheels. All right, well, I have a bag. I bought a bag of a bunch of different size extensions, but I'm either all I got left is really short ones or really long ones. I'm out of the middle ones, so we'll just have to make do here. So I'm gonna have to do one more for my ESC. Didn't like the way that one felt. I'll do the same thing though later on. I'll stick me a little piece of tape on those just to make sure that they're good and tight, don't come loose. All right, so now I'll get rid of all the extra wire. I'll push it back in the plane, but see if I can get the camera up here. Sorry about the no quality, not professional. Anyway, gonna send it up there if you can see that. I'll try to take a little closer look once I probably cut this part out because that's obviously really crappy. Anyway, so I've got all the connections made. So these extra wires I will pull back through and just get rid of those. Once I get this, I'll tie all these together with some zip ties. I'll tie them nice and neat. Like I said before, I'll attach them to the plane so they're kind of out of the way. But next thing to do is now I've changed all these connections. I made a bunch of changes before I start putting things down permanently and tucking them away. Let's go get a radio and the battery and just make sure everything works. Well, okay, so when I left the last time, I went to go grab a battery and my controller to power up the plane and make sure I made all my connections and everything worked well. Had a little hiccup as the connectors, I'll show you in a second, but our XT90s that come on the plane, all my batteries are IC5s, and so I had been using an IC5 to power the plane back and off, and I kept getting these sparks. I even contacted Bannon Hobby and asked them should I be concerned about it because it was popping and sparking, and they were like, well, as long as you're making just the connection, it should be fine. And then I had a major spark and smoke, and if you know LiPo batteries, that could be really bad. Ends up being that it looks like it with the IC5, they should plug in together, they should work, but I got something crossed or something. Was looking to make sure I didn't accidentally get the positive and negative mixed up, but so I'm not sure exactly what happened. But I ended up having to replace the connector on the plane. I'm going to have to replace the connector on my battery as well because it damaged them. So had to order some connectors and got those in, and had to get it resoldered. Out of town for a few days. Actually had a grandbaby born, went down there to be with my daughter, so got behind. So back looking at it again. So show you what I've done this far. Okay, so if you look down, you know, in the canopy here, as I mentioned, you know, I've put in my receiver up front. You know, a lot of people are putting them back here because, you know, have to shift the CG back. I don't think it's going to weigh enough to do anything. This gives me room not to have to try to work the battery around it. And so what you can see is I got my wires here. I've got them zip tied together in a few places. I haven't done it yet, but I'll tie these down with some tape, or, you know, double back tape or some hot glue or something, just to make sure that stays in place. So I've got my receiver now. I have done all the checkouts. Everything's working. All the controllers or the surfaces are working properly. Turn the camera back around. So here's the connector that I had to replace and had to resolder that. And you know, you got to be really careful when you're resoldering, especially these heavy gauge wires like this one is, because you got to make sure that you fill in the wire full of solder, and you got to get it hot enough to make that solder flow. Then you got to get it to flow in the connector. So anyway, it seems to be working fine now. Everything's powered up. But I had mentioned in an earlier video my concern about the wing sweep. And what I'm noticing is these connectors right here, when the wing is sweeping, is pushing this connector up like this. And so I'm a little concerned about that. So I've got to figure out a way to try to hold these down. But I don't know if you can really see it, but you can see here, the wing, when it sweeps, there's not a whole lot of gap between this surface that the wing sweeps on and this right here. So probably try to get a little bit of tape and you know, some double back tape, and see if I can just tape those connectors down. And you also got to be careful, you know, when this thing's sweeping, that you don't pinch these wings or pinch these wires. So anyway, so I've got all that working. I won't turn the plane over, but I do have the controller buttoned back up and the wires tucked away. The underside's not pretty like this is, but so anyway, so feeling pretty good with that right now. So I got that done. I'm still struggling with the controller, trying to get the controller to work. So we'll see how that goes here pretty soon. Sorry, I need to turn my camera around. It wasn't working. So I've talked to Horizon Hobby, or we've emailed back and forth a little bit. Still not having a lot of luck getting the elevator to move slowly with the wing sweep instead of the elevator right now. The only thing I can do is get it to move instantaneously. So I still am afraid you're going to get this porpoising effect. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But got that done. So what I need left to do is, because I have my new my controller in there now, I've got to align all my surfaces again, make sure they're all good and straight, make sure that's done. I still have the afterburners I want to put in, so that's going to be a little interesting to try to get those wires all run through there. Should have done that before I tied all that together, but if not, I'll just tie them together in a separate thing and run them up on the top and get it tied together that way. And that way, if I need to do anything with them, you know, it'll be an easier access to get that. I've got my graphics in from Cali Graphics. USPS was their normal self, so it took a while to get here. So I need to get those installed. Feel pretty good with that. So anyway, it's coming along. Programming is going to be my challenge now to get it where I'm comfortable with everything's working. I could fly it with the wings out and not sweep, and you know, that may be, you know, my first couple flights anyway. So while I'm still waiting, trying to figure out how to do the programming, may try to get a maiden in sometime in the next week or so, just to see how it flies. So she's a good looking plane, getting really excited about it. Just do some final touches. I did talk to the guys at Bannon Hobby. I talked to Jeremy there actually for a pretty good while when I had the issue with this XT90 plug. Very helpful. So far, my first purchase with them, and I couldn't be happier with the customer support that I've been getting from them. And but I did ask him about the Asan steering gyro, and did he think that it needed it? He told me he didn't think this plane needed a steering gyro, so I may get it out, do a couple taxis up and down the runway, see how it, if it feels squirrely or if it feels like it's running straight, good and straight. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Anyway, so that's it for now. Going to figure out how to tuck away those connections under the wing sweep, put the afterburners on, and get the graphics on. And then as far as ability to fly, she'll be ready to fly. So anyway, till next video.